Welcome to the 5-Minute Disasters podcast from 5minutedisasters.com, where each week we uncover worldwide disasters in about 5 minutes. If you enjoy the show and would like to support us, why not consider buying us a coffee? Head on over to 5minutedisasters.com/coffee to see how. This is episode 7, the Deepwater Horizon oil spill. The Deepwater Horizon oil spill, also known as the BP oil spill, is one of the most catastrophic environmental disasters in modern history. It occurred on April 20th, 2010, when a blowout at the Deepwater Horizon oil rig, located in the Gulf of Mexico, led to a massive explosion. The spill continued for 87 days, resulting in the release of approximately 4.9 million barrels of crude oil into the ocean. This disaster had profound environmental, economic, and social consequences, making it one of the most devastating accidents in the history of oil drilling. The Deepwater Horizon rig was owned by Transocean and was drilling a well for BP in the Macondo prospect, an oil field located about 41 miles off the coast of Louisiana. The well was situated over 5,000 feet beneath the ocean surface, making it one of the deepest wells ever drilled at the time. On the night of April the 20th, 2010, a surge of natural gas shot up through the drilling riser, causing a blowout. The gas ignited upon reaching the surface, leading to a massive explosion that engulfed the rig in flames. Tragically, 11 workers lost their lives in the explosion, and 17 others were injured. The rig continued to burn for nearly 2 days before it sank on April the 22nd. However, the real disaster began once the wellhead at the sea floor started leaking oil uncontrollably. The blowout preventer, a crucial safety device designed to seal off the well in case of such an emergency, had failed. As a result, crude oil poured into the Gulf of Mexico at an alarming rate, with estimates ranging from 35,000 to 60,000 barrels per day at the height of the spill. Efforts to cap the well were immediately undertaken but were met with several setbacks. Various techniques were attempted to stop the flow of oil, including the use of remotely operated vehicles, ROVs, to try and close the blowout preventer, as well as attempts to place containment domes over the leaking wellhead. These efforts, however, proved largely unsuccessful due to the extreme depth and pressure at the site of the leak. It wasn't until July 15, 2010, that the well was finally capped, after releasing millions of barrels of oil into the Gulf. However, this was only a temporary solution, and it wasn't until the 19th of September 2010 that the well was declared effectively dead, meaning that it posed no further threat to the Gulf. The environmental impact of the Deepwater Horizon oil spill was catastrophic. The spill created a massive oil slick that spread over 57,000 square miles, affecting the coastlines of Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and Florida. The oil contaminated fragile ecosystems, including wetlands, beaches, and estuaries, which are vital breeding grounds for a variety of marine species. Sea turtles, dolphins, and countless fish and bird species were severely impacted by the oil, with many animals found dead or covered in toxic oil. The spill also devastated deep-sea coral reefs and other underwater ecosystems that were already vulnerable due to human activities. The use of chemical dispersants to break up the oil further complicated the environmental damage. BP applied nearly 1.8 million gallons of dispersants to the surface and directly into the leak at the wellhead. While dispersants helped to break up the oil slick and make it less visible, they also had toxic effects on marine life, and their long-term impact on the ecosystem remains unclear. Studies in the years following the spill have shown that the dispersants likely increased the toxicity of the oil, causing further harm to marine organisms. The economic consequences of the spill were equally devastating, particularly for the fishing and tourism industries along the Gulf Coast. The region's fishing industry, worth billions of dollars, was brought to a halt as large areas of the Gulf were closed to fishing due to oil contamination. Oyster and shrimp populations, which are essential to the local economy, were decimated by the oil spill, leading to significant losses for fishermen and seafood businesses. Tourism also suffered as beaches and resorts along the coast were coated in oil, deterring visitors and leading to massive revenue losses for the hospitality industry. In addition to the environmental and economic fallout, the disaster sparked widespread criticism of BP and the oil industry as a whole. Investigations revealed a series of failures and missteps that contributed to the blowout, including poor decision-making, inadequate safety protocols, and the use of faulty equipment. BP, as the company responsible for the well, faced the brunt of public and legal scrutiny. In 2012, BP agreed to a settlement with the US government, paying $4.5 billion in fines and penalties, the largest settlement of its kind in US history at the time. BP also set up a $20 billion fund to compensate victims of the spill, including businesses, individuals, and local governments affected by the disaster. The Deepwater Horizon oil spill also prompted a broader discussion about the risks of offshore oil drilling and the need for stronger regulations. In the aftermath of the spill, the US government imposed a temporary moratorium on deepwater drilling in the Gulf of Mexico, and new regulations were introduced to improve safety standards and reduce the likelihood of similar disasters occurring in the future. Despite these efforts, the oil industry continues to face significant challenges in balancing energy production with environmental protection, and the Deepwater Horizon disaster remains a sobering reminder of the potential consequences of technological failure and human error. Over a decade after the spill, the Gulf of Mexico continues to bear the scars of the disaster. While many areas have shown signs of recovery, the long-term environmental impact is still being studied, and certain species and ecosystems may take decades to fully recover. The Deepwater Horizon oil spill remains a defining moment in environmental history, a tragedy that exposed the vulnerability of both nature and industry to the unpredictable forces of technology and the human element. The lessons learned from this disaster continue to influence environmental policies, industrial practices, and our understanding of the delicate balance between progress and preservation. I hope you enjoyed that episode of the 5-Minute Disasters podcast from 5minutedisasters.com. If you did, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. And while you're there, why not leave us a review? Also, please consider listening to our other 5-minute podcasts, which you can find at 5minuteproductions.com. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time.